Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. I'm RexFinance, and today I'm going to be talking about the one stock that I've talked about on my channel that is probably the least known stock pick that I have ever made. And just this morning, we surpassed 100% gain since I bought this stock. So in the past, I've done one standalone video on this particular company, and I've only mentioned them in about 2 other videos aside from that standalone video. And those of you that have followed my channel for months now know that this fedora has a legacy on my channel for just being involved in videos where I pick companies that perform extraordinarily well. Now, this all started with Workhorse when I wore this fedora while doing a Workhorse video. I bought shares of Workhorse at $2.84 a share, and today we're sitting at over $27 per share, and I think that is even going to go much higher if they win the USPS Postal Service contract. If you guys want to know my particular price targets, I would suggest looking at this video right there. I'll leave a link down in the description, and you can also click the I in the top right corner of the video if you want to go watch that video. The next success that the fedora saw was with CleanSpark. I bought shares of CleanSpark at $4.63 a share. Today, shares are well over $10 a share. So again, that is well over 100xing my money in that particular stock. On top of that, this hat has seen Lordstown or DPHC go from $11.45 from when I initially bought into the company all the way up to over $24 today. And now Flux Power is joining this group. So yes, today we're going to be talking about Flux Power, ticker symbol FLUX. I originally bought 1,000 shares at a $5 cost basis, and today we are well over $10 a share, almost halfway to $11 a share as I'm recording this video. And I was the first YouTuber to bring Workhorse, to bring CleanSpark, and now to bring Flux Power to the realms of the YouTube investing universe. As you guys probably know, back at $2.84, there weren't any YouTubers covering Workhorse. Same thing with CleanSpark, because I found all of these companies at their inception before their dramatic rises up, before they gain traction and attention. So with that, if you guys are interested in joining my members only Discord or getting buy and sell alerts and things like that, or even a portfolio review, hit the join button down below right next to the subscribe button for more information on that. But without further ado, let's get right into this video. And to start off, I'm just going to give a quick overview of what Flux Power does and who they are. And if you guys want a more in-depth overview of this company, I would suggest going and watching that standalone video that I did on Flux Power. Again, I'll leave a link down in the description to that video, as well as you can click the I in the top right corner to go view that video. Flux Power is particularly focused on electrifying the material handling industry. They manufacture lithium-ion batteries for forklifts, ground support equipment at airports, warehouse robotics, and more. On top of that, they signed a recent partnership with Envision Solar, now Beam Global, ticker symbol BEEM, to provide their lithium-ion batteries for all of their solar-powered EV charging stations. So you can already see that Flux Power has very strong ties to the EV industry, and they also have a lot of very strong business segments. And the bottom line is, the reason I invested in this company is because it fit the mold of what I look for in these growth stories. They have incredible year-over-year revenue growth, and that is only set to continue according to their projections. On top of that, the industry/demand growth is just insane for Flux Power. Now, when I say industry, you can think of the EV industry as a whole, or you can narrow it down to the material handling industry or warehouses. We're living in a world today where customers want products that they order online to arrive at their doorstep as soon as possible, meaning during the same day or in the next 24 hours. Now, the only way that this is made possible through companies like Amazon is they predict purchasing habits based on consumers in similar locations. So what a company like Amazon does is it ships and predicts those products that they feel that people in that area are going to buy to warehouses located near or next to that area. So what that means is we need a lot of warehouses to make this possible. If we want same-day delivery, we're going to need lots and lots of warehouses, and those warehouses are going to have to be very, very efficient. And it should go without saying, but at warehouses, you need the forklifts, you need the warehouse robotics, which are both business segments that Flux Power is going after. And the last reason this really fit the mold of what I look for in my investments is that they have increasing margins with low debt or decreasing debt. Now, Flux Power doesn't have low debt by any stretch of the imagination, but they do have decreasing debt, and they have a very, very smart management team. So you may be wondering, why has Flux Power seen a massive run-up as of late? I just got done saying that Flux Power has a very, very smart management team. Something that I really, really like that they do is whenever they dilute shareholders, which is not very often, they contribute to the dilution by buying shares at the open market price. So whenever they issue new shares to the public markets, the management team is buying some of those shares. That is a clear signal that the management team truly cares about shareholders and really believes that in the long run, Flux Power is going to be massively successful. On top of this, we see that Flux Power has a very, very low float. This means that there's a very limited number of shares available to be traded on the public markets. Their float is actually less than 7 million shares. So when I said I was buying 1,000 shares at $5 a share, I know a lot of other people in Rex Nation or my paid membership also bought shares. And we've only seen that number of people increase, and we've only seen the amount of shares each member of my Discord owns increase. So Rex Nation owns a fair amount of this low float. So that 7 million share float is actually theoretically lower because me, as well as other investors in my group, aren't looking to sell Flux Power anytime soon. I also think people flocking into the stock is also a reason why we've seen the stock price go up. The recent earnings report pretty much solidified that Flux Power was very, very undervalued at its previous valuation of $5 a share. Now, I don't know if a double up in the stock price is necessarily warranted, but we were certainly undervalued at $5 a share. And I personally saw exactly what I wanted to see out of this most recent earnings report. We saw revenues continuing to grow, margins continuing to expand, debt decreasing, and very, very bullish projections for the fiscal year 2021 made by the management team. So back at $5 a share, this was around a $40 million company that was doing $17 million in revenue with triple-digit quarter-over-quarter revenue growth. On top of that, we also saw Flux Power deliver 81% year-over-year revenue growth. So when you find a growth story or a company that's doing revenue numbers like that, with margins expanding and debt decreasing, that is making for a very, very good storm. And like I said, with the low float, any number of people flocking into the stock can make the stock price go up because that means there are less shares actively traded on the public markets. And it raises the price floor for the share price because there are less people willing to sell their shares at the price they bought at. Next, it seems like Flux Power posts about a new largest order in Flux Power history almost every single month. Most recently, we saw this on the warehouse manager for Flux Power's LinkedIn page, and I'll put that on the screen right now for you guys to look at. Flux Power has very top tier customers and recently even signed a partnership deal with Clark, who is a top 5 OEM in the world. Other reasons I think we've seen the share price go up is because the sales network is expanding. They recently rolled out a full product line, and they've seen expansion of their key top-tier customers. Also, I think when people look into Flux Power as a company, they don't see much competition. The closest competition is Plug Power, who has a hydrogen solution. And that solution really only makes sense for the biggest warehouses owned by the biggest companies in the world. Otherwise, it's just not worth the investment. Lithium-ion batteries in particular have seen a massive demand increase over the past few months, especially as we've seen Tesla have strong ties to the lithium market. Also, if you listen to the most recent conference call, you can see that Flux Power is planning on doubling the amount of assembly lines that they have. So that's telling me that they fully expect their sales, their revenues, and all of the above to continue to increase with triple-digit percentages year over year. And while we're on the subject of the most recent conference call, CEO Ron Dutt said, "Now that we have a firm level of foundation building and market traction, it's time to consider accelerating our growth. We now have the stock currency, given the help of shelf stock, to consider strategic actions, including M&A. M&A means mergers and acquisitions for those of you that are unfamiliar with that term. And what that's signaling to me is that they're transforming from a foundation building company into a growth company. They're looking to make an acquisition or a merger that gives them increased exposure to the lithium market and demand wave that we've seen lately. So now let's talk about my current position in Flux Power. I got done saying that I've only done one standalone video on this company, and in that video you can see I purchased 1,000 shares of Flux Power stock at a price of $5 per share. That holding has not changed for me at all. Regardless of all this bullish news, all these great numbers that Flux Power released, this is still a very risky investment, and I'm not going to put any money in that I'm not willing to lose. Obviously, right now, things are looking very, very good for the company, but I'm also very satisfied with my 1,000 shares, so I've seen no reason to sell my shares, and I've seen no reason to buy more shares. The only time I can see myself buying more shares is if we continue to see the good numbers be released quarter after quarter, and we see somewhat of a dip in the stock price. I also might add to my position here if Workhorse wins a large majority and sees a big pop in their stock price due to the USPS contract. Now, as a reminder, I am not a financial advisor, so do your own research. Just because I, or someone else for that matter, is buying a stock, that doesn't mean that you should buy into the company. Make sure you do your own research. I understand that today, part of doing research on a company can be watching YouTube videos and watching people talk about the company. However, especially if you are unfamiliar with Flux Power, please at least read through their investor presentation and their most recent 10K. I don't plan on selling my Flux Power shares anytime soon unless something fundamental changes with the business and company that I do not like and do not want to be invested in the future. However, Flux Power has a niche in the material handling industry, and they're heavily focused on electrifying forklifts, ground support equipment at airports, warehouse robotics, and they even have ties to the EV charging network. So again, I'll reiterate, I've seen no reason to increase the risk of my portfolio by doubling up my position in Flux, but I also haven't seen any reason to sell out of my shares. And even at its current price of $10.49 as of recording this video, I would recommend buying this stock, especially if you are a longer-term minded investor. This business continues to gain traction. They're becoming a very, very popular growth story. They have a low float, and the bottom line is it's a great company with great management. So with that, guys, let me know down in the comment section how many shares and at what price you own of Flux Power. Also, let me know after watching this video if you plan on buying shares of the company. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like down below. If you are new or returning and not yet subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button down below. Also consider joining my members only Discord server by hitting the join button located right next to the subscribe button. With that, have a great rest of your Monday, have a great Tuesday, and I should be back on Wednesday with a brand new video. Peace out.